I'm WG and this is a CZN character showcase. 3 days people, 3 days is all that's left. Veronica showcase is the topic today, and as usual let's hop into the combat motions. Main game plan is obviously here to enjoy the art, enjoy the animations, but also to see if there are any changes in the cost of any cards or in the cost of any ultimates, just so we can see how far is like the difference, like estimate a bit of a difference between the way they were doing the limited playtest and the way they end up being launched. So here we go. And that is basically something you notice, especially when we get into Veronica's kit, and that is, besides her ultimate, she doesn't have a single directly attacking card, and that is obviously due to various factors. So who is Veronica? Veronica is a passion 5-star ranger. She is the second 5-star alongside Hugo, that is a ranger upon game release. And if you want to check out any information for any characters, any partners, already early/beginner team compositions, and the like, then you can go to cznmeta.com, link is also in the description. But again, as usual, enough yapping, it's time we check out Veronica in detail. So for Veronica, we started off with the information that exactly nothing has changed. All the cards are still 1 cost, 1 cost, 1 cost, 1 cost, 1 cost, and the ult is still a 5 cost. So that seems to be the same. How much of a change will there be to her kit? It's a bit hard to say, but as soon as we get any updated kits, as soon as we can get into the game and anything actually changes, I'll change this as soon as possible. Outside of that, we then have a double start in basic attacks with a shield card, so pretty standard for DPSs or sub DPSs. And then we have the firing preparation card, which is a upgrade card, meaning you play it once, it works like a passive. It is unique, so it's unclonable, and you have the outbreak of war, meaning it is always in your hand at every start of every single fight. And what it does is it creates a ballista card, and that at the start of the turn it also creates a ballista card. Now what are these ballista cards? Ballista cards are these right here. So the way this works is there is 6 different ballistas. This micro ballista is only from a very special epiphany. So the main 5 you need to care about are the ballista, piercing ballista, enhanced ballista, giant ballista, and shelling ballista. What these do is that the normal ballista at the end of the turn deals 150% extra attack to a random enemy. The piercing ballista deals piercing damage, so that should, I believe, go through shields. Then at the end of the turn, deal 150% damage to a random enemy, but plus 30% crit chance. So you see that the difference between enhanced and normal is a 30% crit chance. The giant ballista does 120% and AoE. And the shelling ballista at the end of the turn deals extra attack 60% times 2 to random enemies. So it could also be a double on one singular enemy with 2 60% hits. So what you also might notice is that these piercing ballistas have this like crossed out sign. That means they are unusable, unplayable, as you can also see in the tag. And they also have ethereal. What this means is that these cards just play themselves at the end of your turn. You don't have to pay for them, you don't have to do anything with them, they just stay in your hand, and when you end your turn they're going to be fired, and that should happen before the enemy takes their turn. So you might just, for example, be able to finish off someone before they attack you. Next up we have the repose, which gives you a 100% shield, and you draw other combatants cards, so cards that are not Veronica's too. Then you have Dependent of Resolution. When another combatant uses a skill card, you gain Reload 1. Now let's talk about Reload. So this right here is Reload. Reload is a Veronica exclusive buff, and what it does is it increases the ballista damage, which is the thing you fire at the end of the turn, by 20%, and when a ballista is activated you reduce reload by 1, so pretty much you can have up to 3 of these reload stacks, and that is exactly what you're stacking. Just so you can reference this, we'll put it down to the side here, and let's continue onwards. So anytime a skill card is used, which is any card with this blue symbol, you gain a stack of reload. Then we have Sir Kowalski, another skill card which allows you to add an additional reload stack, gives you a draw, so you draw 1 card, and then you have the Ready Bombardment, which is unique, so once again unclonable, and it increases the max stacks of reload by 1, so up to 4, and you also gain 1 reload. These are all the basic cards. Now with the ultimate you deal 250% piercing damage to all enemies, and you gain maximum reload, which means however many stacks of reload you have, you always go to the maximum number. So should you play a Ready Bombardment, you go up to 4, should you not, you go up to 3 with Hunting Time. And that isn't yet even all, and that is because every single one of these cards obviously has their own epiphanies. And that is, for the first one, you just reduce the cost to 0, meaning you'll be able to play it for free on turn 1. With the second one, you create a piercing ballista, so you create this green one instead of the normal one. With the third one, you create the enhanced ballista, which is the one with the crit chance instead of the standard one. And then with the fourth one, you've already guessed it, you create the giant ballista, which is the AoE one. And then with the fifth one, you create the rapid ballista, which is, I do believe, the shelling ballista. So one of the bonuses of having a shelling ballista is that if the reload buff increases ballista damage by 20%, for example, the giant ballista now does 140% damage. But with a reload stack onto shelling ballista, all of a sudden you have 80% times 2, meaning 160% damage. So this just scales better with additive attack buffs because it's a multi-hitter. So this one is pretty straightforward. You can just pick whatever ballista you need, whatever ballista fits your style. You're looking for AoE and wave clear, you go with the giant one. You want to build around crit rate, you go with the enhanced one. You want to go for piercing damage, you go with the piercing one. Or you just want to get it out as fast and as cheap as possible, you go with the standard one. Then we have the Repose. Repose allows you to draw other combatant cards at 3, as well as also reduce the cost to 0, but you do lose the shield effect. With the second one, you get more shield and you draw 2 combatant cards, and if these cards are skill cards that you draw, you also gain a stack of reload. Then with the third one, again, bigger shield, draw 2 cards, and you reduce the cost of one of them by 1, which can be very, very valuable, because the lower the cost, the more cards you can play, the better you can synergize, the more damage you can deal. Here we have again higher shield, and you gain 1 reload equal to the number of other combatant skill cards in hand. So you're pretty much trading reload stacking for the ability to draw cards. To be honest, I'm not really sure if that's all that worth it on the fourth card. And then with the fifth card, you discard all other combatant cards in hand and gain reload 1 equal to that number. Now this might sound kinda useless. Why would you just get rid of all your cards and then only gain a reload? But there is a lot of characters in this game that have interactions with cards either getting put into the graveyard or even getting banished, or with the ethereal tag getting sent again into that banished pile. So this card can very well find some value if you think outside the box. And then here we have the first one is that whenever you use a skill, you gain reload 1, which is different to whenever another combatant uses a skill. So this works, I do believe, for every single skill, because it doesn't say whenever you use this combatant skill. So it's just that overall all your combatants can now allow you to gain reload. Another unique tag, a lot of unique tags here. When another combatant uses the skill card, you gain reload 1, and if 3 are used at the start of the next turn, create the mini ballista. So the mini ballista is this very last one here at the end. Yes, I fixed this thing being cut off, but what it does is it just does a extra attack worth 40%. And then right here we then also further go into, for 1 turn, when a card is used, you gain 1 reload and exhaust 2. Exhaust 2 meaning you can play 2 times during a fight, and after that the card is gone. And then with the fourth one, when another combatant uses a skill card, you gain reload 1, and then you have a 50% chance to gain 1 additional reload. So pretty much you have a just gamba chance on gaining more reload stacks. And then right here for the unique one, at the start of the turn, you create 1 ballista card. So this one would then allow you to have 2 ballista cards. This one is actually quite sweet. So every start of the turn, you get 1 ballista card. And then you have this one active as well. That also gives you a ballista card. So all of a sudden, you're shooting twice the amount of ballistas. And then right here we have the reload, draw 1, same, but for 1 turn when reload is gained, you also draw. So every if you manage to draw or get 2 reloads, you draw twice. Here you have the reload effect and then the chain effect. Now the chain effect should be that you can play this card, and if you play this card after another card, you get like the effect. So this would be then giving you 2 reloads. Obviously all the tags, all the additions will be added as soon as possible with as much of a professionally looking in-game-esque state as possible. And then here we have the reload 1, draw 2, and if the card is a skill card, you create 1 ballista. So that is pretty straightforward and can also be pretty damn nice. So yeah, as long as you have a lot of skill cards in your deck, this can help you just get more ballistas, more extra attacks. And then here you just exhaust, so you can play this once per fight, but you do go to the maximum amount of reload stacks possible. And here with the last one, reload 1. When reload is gained, draw 1 up to 2 times per turn. And this brings us already through all the epiphanies right here. And before we get into the awakenings and the potential and what that all changes, what we actually need to, or what I actually want to talk a bit about, is why she herself might just be a very valuable unit. So you might or might not have seen it already, and that is Selena. Selena is gonna probably be one of the strongest 4-stars in the entire game, and that is due to a couple things, like for example her ability to apply mark, which are just extra attacks, or you might see it here already, the unique card. When you perform an extra attack, you deal tenacity damage 1. Tenacity damage is something that refers to a unit's break bar. So you can attack enemies and they have a break bar. Once you break that bar, you get extra AP, and you also have certain character interactions with these, as well as her also being a ranger. There is a very big synergy between Selena and Veronica in a single team. They do like all these extra attacks. Both are passion, so applying passion weakness is going to work doubly as well. These marks, these extra attacks, then obviously multiple epiphanies, this just further increase this whole shenanigan. And then also there is another unit, and that is Nia. Nia also straight up just gives you more morale. More morale is just a 40% multiplier, which means all of a sudden your ballistas would be dealing 40% more damage. And then you have this beautiful upgrade card right here. On extra attack, deal fixed damage 30%. Then obviously multiple epiphanies that just further increase this as a whole. And yeah, there is just, this is probably gonna be one of the nastiest teams. And you can, I think I have already put that there. So if you go to a Veronica and then you head into the team building section, and under teams you see that we have the Veronica, Selena, Nia early team, or the beginner team. Should you not pull Selena or Nia, you can just run her with a Rhea and a Mika. But still we have a couple things to talk about, and that is the awakenings. So, or I guess before the awakenings, at least we should talk about the potential. Currently the potentials aren't yet implemented here, but I'll obviously do that as soon as possible, as well as also probably talk about like breakpoints, right? Like potentials you really want to get. But on that note, there's something that is super easy to get and you should get for any character you intend to seriously play. And that is the very first big potential node as an additional effect to the rapid fire basic card, which she has 2 of. And that is that you have a 20% chance to create 1 ballista card should you use this card. So every 5th basic attack is going to give you an extra attack at the end of your turn. So that is the potential. Now the awakening. So should you get a second Veronica, bombardment preparation cards reload is increased by 2. What that is talking about is this one. Ready bombardment, and you now gain reload 3 stacks instead of just reload 1 stack. Here we have the M2 or the 3rd copy, and that is whenever an ally uses a targeted attack, you apply Fluorescent 1 to the target. Fluorescent itself increases the damage taken from ballistas by 20%, and this monster becomes a ballista activation target. So it seems like this should then be, like if there's, for example, attack a random enemy, it's most likely then going to attack the Fluorescent target. Now the question is how many of these stacks can actually be fluorescent is removed when applied to another target. So it seems like you can stack up multiple instances of fluorescent, but never between multiple enemies. So it's definitely going to increase her single target, and also you could say focus capabilities, because you can just single out an enemy. Then add to the hunting time card effect, create one random ballista card in hand. What the hunting card time effect is this one right here, hunting time. So you now also, you're dealing 250% damage, you gain all reload stacks, and then you also create a random ballista card. Then the inner memory just increases max reload stacks, so to a base of 4, or then with the upgrade card to a base of 5. So that just means overall way more ballista stacks. And for those of you a bit confused on, again, why is it that important to have these reload stacks, and that is because if you have a reload 5 and you shoot a ballista, this reload thing gets the full 100% damage bonus instead of just a 20% damage bonus. So then we have further off the M5, which is just a standard upgrade, so 6% additional multiplier to any basic, unique and neutral cards used by Veronica. And then lastly you have the 7th copy, you could say, and that is at the start of the turn against enemies with fluorescent, you deal 100% additional attack damage and you apply Mark 1, so this synergizes well with the M2. And that isn't yet all, and that is because we already know the partners that are going to be in the game, at least some of them, and there is some nasty synergies between a couple of these. Let's first off talk about the, I guess you could say, best 4-star partner to use on her, and that is Rosaria. So what she does is the assigned combatant additional attack damage increases by 10%, so her ballista damage becomes stronger. And when you use a upgrade or skill card, which she has quite a damn lot of, you have a 25% chance to gain morale for 1 turn. And then with the ability, the ego skill, you can draw an enhanced card 1, and if there are no enhanced cards in the draw pile, you draw 1 card. So draw an enhanced card 1 should probably be referring to any of these unique cards, but if there's none of the unique cards, you just normally draw. And then, enhanced card is obviously referring to the upgrade tag, right? So you can pretty much search out these upgrade cards, like for example Ready Bombardment or the Pendant of Resolution, especially nasty in that 5th upgrade right here, and that's just something you can search out for with that partner. So she has some very nice 4-star partners. Daisy is also pretty damn good, but overall then you have like the main target, and it's gonna be Marin, and that is the extra attack damage of cards generated by the assigned combatant's abilities increases by 15%. Tada! And when the assigned combatant uses the skill card, which he has a damn lot of, you also gain plus 25% extra damage for 1 turn, which isn't going to be locked to just this one, but to like your whole team. And then here you can also deal 200% damage and you draw 1 skill card. Then Solaya, she's pretty much the same in that you deal 20% extra damage with extra attacks, which she obviously does a lot, Veronica. And then when you draw for the first time each turn using an ability, you get plus 10% attack damage or card damage from 1 turn. And here it's just a simple 250 damage, apply 1 mark. I do prefer Marin overall. So that was everything you need to know about Veronica, and I do hope you enjoy her and are looking forward to her. And yes, there are only 3 days to launch, especially starting from tomorrow. We're not only going to get information on Haru's kit, but you're also going to get a whole flood of, as many as I can come up with, launch related content videos, and then obviously starting from launch day and further in the future. So that's something to look forward to, and as always, peace!